In today's episode, we're delving into the stories of some of Pennsylvania's most notorious gang leaders who have left a trail of violence and destruction in their wake. From the streets of Pottstown to Allentown, York, these figures have led criminal enterprises that terrorize their communities, leading to federal indictments, life sentences, and a relentless pursuit by law enforcement to bring them to justice. We'll explore the cases of Jose Charriez, Rolando, Mico, Cruz Jr., Christopher Jackson, each of whom played a significant role in shaping the gang landscape in Pennsylvania. We're diving into a major federal case that has rocked the city of York, Pennsylvania, and led to the takedown of the infamous Southside Gang. A federal grand jury in Harrisburg recently indicted 21 members and associates of this violent street gang on racketeering and drug conspiracy charges. This sweeping indictment comes after a 2-year investigation by local and federal agencies. The Southside Gang, with over 100 known members or affiliates, has long terrorized the streets near Maple and Duke, engaging in drug trafficking, violent crimes, and deadly rivalries with other gangs, particularly the Parkway Gang. The indictment reveals how older members like James Dukes Abney supplied drugs to younger gang members who were tasked with carrying out the gang's dirty work, selling drugs, robbing rivals, and engaging in violent acts to maintain control over their territory. Among those indicted are senior gang leaders involved in violent acts against rival gangs, including incidents that resulted in fatalities. One of the key figures in the indictment is Rolando Mico Cruz Jr., a former leader of the Southside Gang, who was sentenced to life in prison. Cruz's criminal activities continued even while he was behind bars, including drug trafficking and violent retaliation. His life sentence underscores the severe consequences of leading such a violent and destructive gang. The Southside Gang's reign of terror included brutal beatings, drug-related violence, and other criminal activities that wreaked havoc on York's streets. The investigation culminated in a series of high-profile convictions, with several gang members receiving life sentences or decades-long prison terms. We're taking you inside a major federal case that has brought down one of the most notorious gang leaders in Montgomery County. We're talking about Jose Charriez, a 35-year-old man from Pottstown, who authorities say was a key figure in the Straight Cash Money Gang. This gang, known for its violent clashes with rival groups, was the target of a massive law enforcement operation called Operation War Ready, which led to the arrest of 47 gang members last May. Charriez, originally arrested during the operation, is now facing even more serious charges. Charriez has been indicted on federal drug possession and trafficking charges, which carry much harsher penalties than he would have faced in state court. This move underscores the severity of his alleged role in the gang's operations. According to authorities, the Straight Cash Money Gang was heavily involved in trafficking drugs and firearms, leading to significant violence in the Pottstown area. Charriez was identified as a leader within the gang, and his criminal activities were well documented during the investigation. In March 2015, a search of his residence uncovered a loaded .45 caliber handgun with a scratched-off serial number, nearly 100 grams of that white girl, and thousands of dollars in cash. His DNA was found on the firearm, and wiretaps revealed him discussing drug deals and coordinating with customers. Despite his initial charges being dismissed in county court, Charriez now faces life in federal prison and a $2.5 million fine if convicted. We're diving into the violent gang wars that once gripped Allentown, Pennsylvania, focusing on Christopher Jackson, a key figure in these conflicts. Jackson recently pleaded guilty to a firearm violation and reckless endangerment in connection with a 2012 shooting that left rival gang member Dashawn Brown paralyzed. This shooting was part of a brutal conflict between the New Street Goonies and two Crips subsets, the Shotgun Crips and the Grape Street Crips. The violence peaked between July 2012 and July 2013, with 22 shootings linked to the gang war. Jackson, known on the streets as CJ, retaliated after Brown and other Crips opened fire in Goonies territory. The next day, Jackson shot Brown, leaving him paralyzed. Despite his injuries, Brown refused to cooperate with investigators. This shooting was just one incident in a cycle of violence that saw multiple retaliatory attacks, including a drive-by shooting days later that left another gang member paralyzed. Jackson's arrest in 2013 marked a turning point, as gang-related shootings in Allentown dropped significantly afterward. In court, Jackson asked for leniency, expressing a desire to change and be there for his daughter. Despite his plea, the judge emphasized the severity of the gang violence, sentencing Jackson to an additional 3.5 to 9 years in state prison. This case highlights the devastating impact of gang violence on communities and the ongoing efforts to bring those responsible to justice. As we wrap up today's episode, it's clear that the fight against gang violence in Pennsylvania is far from over. The stories of these gang leaders serve as a grim reminder of the impact that organized crime can have on communities, tearing apart families and leaving a legacy of fear and devastation. However, the efforts of law enforcement, from local police to federal agencies, demonstrate a steadfast commitment to dismantling these criminal organizations and restoring safety to the streets. As these cases continue to unfold, we remain vigilant in bringing you the latest developments in the ongoing battle against gang violence. Stay tuned for more in-depth coverage as we shine a light on the dark corners of our society.